Okay, so this is a combo for Whitewood's Pure, which shows you two different routes for playing around Nib. And the reason why this is good and the cards that you have to draw for this. So the toy cards are mandatory. You must play this in the Pure version. And even in other versions, you probably still also have to play it. So the important thing about this is if you have a starter that does not require a normal summon, is the easiest way to perform this combo. There is a way to do something similar with Magician's Souls, because if you toy box set up Soldier and Tank, you can send both of those with Souls, but the play can depend on what the rest of your draws are, and it's not that hard to do it that way, but it is technically still dependent on your draws, so if you get unlucky, you can't do it. Whereas with these cards, you already have everything you need. So if you start the combo with the toy box, setting Tank and Soldier, and then you begin your play with Rosette. And what's important here is that you search the normal summon for two reasons. You need the play starter in Asteria, which gets everything. The normal summon, you send a card, and then you bring out another card. Because no matter what happens or how you get stopped, this card will allow you to continue playing. So whatever their interruptions are, this is your actual play, this card right here. Before you get to that point, you resolve the toy engine, and because you already control Toy Box, this can search a level 4 light monster, which in this case, you want the one that special summons, not the one that normal summons, even though it searches. So Arcia brings itself out, and now you're at 3 summons, and Arcia can send to make summon 4. So now you go into Appaloosa. And the thing that's important here is this is summon 5, and you have your entire toy engine in the grave along with Rosette. This is a very easy way to set up follow-up later, because now when you normal summon on your 6th summon, because Appa was 5, this is what actually gets you into your engine. And there are 2 different routes that you can go from here. So first of all, you bring out the card that can search your trap, because you usually always want to have the trap. There are very few scenarios where you don't search the trap, because even if you can't synchro using the trap in your opponent's turn, you could at least, for example, bring out another Sylve and get a search, possibly block an attack, and you have access to more engine. But normally the trap is going to go through, and then you can Book of Moon on their turn. So you set back the card that you sent, and you add the Woes of the White Woods, and here is where you have to make a decision. There are 2 different routes that you can play here. The standard route is where you take advantage of the fact that Asteria and Rosette are both in your grave, and in your opponent's turn, you can cycle through your resources, because when you make the play where you bring out your Book of Moon card, this card can come back to your hand, and this card can be special summoned onto the field to give you another body. So what you would normally do here, if you're just going for the standard play, is you would trigger the Asteria to bring it out to go into your level 8. The reason that I'm using the spell card here first is because if you've just done the apple for 4, you're not going to have any spells and traps in the grave, and you don't want to make the level 8 without having an add back, because then you're missing out on potential card advantage. So I'm just using Legend of the White Woods here to search a card that I'm going to use on my next turn as follow-up, so that there's something to add back when I make the level 8. So now we go into the level 8 and we add back that card, and this is where you have to make a decision. So right now, if you already know how the Whitewood cards works, you don't need to know anything else about this combo, because you already have the trap set, you have the level 8 on the field, which means when your opponent starts playing, you can bring out the Synchro 6 from here to Book of Moon on their turn. You also already have both level 4s, you have Arcia and Sylve in the grave, with your trap card set. So you have Apo for 4, you have Diabell to bring out the Book of Moon monster, and you have the trap and the monsters in here to bring out the Book of Moon monster a second time. So you have 2 Book of Moons and you have Appaloosa, assuming that you're using this for the Book of Moon. The good thing about this play is that you're going to get the Rosette and the Asteria back into rotation because you're using your White Woods monsters effects. However, there's a different route that you can play that is enabled largely by this card, the Iris Sword Soul. And the reason that this card is useful in this deck is because you can do one of 2 things. Either you can use it as a pseudo hand trap, so you can, if you don't know what this card does, if the monster whose effects are negated are on the field, you can special summon it, which you can always guarantee in any single combo line in this entire deck, because your Level 4 tuners, the Sylve and the Arcia, they negate themselves when they bring themselves onto the field. So this can always special summon itself, even in your opponent's turn, as a quick effect. Normally, the effects that you can trigger are either your opponent special summons a monster from the deck, that's super common, and then you can draw 2 cards. This is better in a hand trap build or in a runic build, but still, drawing 2 cards isn't bad. And in the if they summon from the extra deck, you can destroy one of those monsters special summon from the extra deck. So it's almost like the Lulu Wallolith card, kind of, in a way. But for the purpose of this combo, I'm going to show you using this card as a combo piece. This means that you can make Cosmic Blazar on your turn without having to play the Centurion engine. And the Centurion engine requires that you play bricks and add a number of normal summons into your deck that you would not normally want. So anyhow, you bring out the Iris Sword Soul because you controlled a negated monster because you had out the level 4, and then you can synchro summon with the Diabell into the Legatia, so this gives you a draw. Now, importantly, you now have another Whitewoods cards in your grave, which means the other level 4, whichever one you didn't use, can bring itself out. So you bring this card out, and you synchro into Crimson Dragon, and Crimson Dragon can bring out Cosmic Blazar. So there are some advantages and disadvantages to the routes that you take. If you go for the first build, that build gives you better follow-up because the Reset will be added back to your hand and the Asteria will be brought to the field just for card advantage. And so it's very easy to make the Woes of the Whitewoods work. You actually even can bring out a card and use the effect. Like if you bring a Sylve from your deck, normally when you bring out a card in Whitewoods, you don't get the effect because you're immediately synchro summoning. So the card that would have a trigger, like where is it? Like Sylve, when it's normal or special, you can add a Whitewood spell or trap from your deck to your hand. It misses the activation window because you're immediately synchro summoning with it, or because its effects were negated on the field. But with the trap, if you already have access to other bodies on your field, you may be able to bring the trap out, and then you can synchro summon a Whitewoods monster. You do not need to use the monster that you bring out with this card, which is why you can do that. So going the first route, where you're just using the Book of Moon card and you're sitting on Diabell, puts these cards back into rotation, and it's better for your card economy. But and it's also slightly better into cards like Dark Ruler and Droplet, because even though you won't be able to use a Diabell on field, you still have set up with your Woes of the Whitewoods, and you're at least going to get a Book of Moon. This board is worse into Dark Ruler or Droplets, but it plays around Nib. Well, both of them play around Nib, and you can end on Blazar and Legatia. So that's the difference between those two versions. And you'll also notice that you still have 5 cards in hand. And this is a power spell build that I'm playing here. And if you have any other types of extenders, it usually doesn't impact the combo in any way because you've already cycled through your entire engine. So you typically want to keep whatever else you have in hand. So yeah, this is also possible with hand traps, but this is just the build that I'm using for now.